I am a huge fan of Naomi Shelton and the Gospel Queens coming out of Brooklyn, okay? There is some down-home blues and gospel coming out of Brooklyn. Now, I have a call. I'm hoping this is the legendary and my honored guest, blues harmonica player, as well as I would go on to say African American history and blues history connoisseur. Am I speaking with Mr. Jock Webb Sr.?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's way too many praises and accolades for me, but absolutely. I'm just an oily mechanic, making a day.
No, I hear that, but hey, listen, you know what? We can start right there. Because today's topic is a weekly topic called the Blues Narrative, which is an offshoot of the original slave narratives from 1936 to 1938. Now, you're a great harmonica player and a staple of Alabama, but you say you're just an oil mechanic.
I'm just an oily mechanic.
An oily mechanic. Okay, so let's talk about that reality of our culture, though, because we had Muddy Water who worked while he played. We had B.B. King who worked the tractor while he played. Let's talk about that reality, and then I would like to get into your journey, if that's okay, sir.
Absolutely. I'm at your disposal.
Well, let me ask you this. How realistic, or better yet, how can I phrase this? Okay, this is how I can ask this question. Is it safe to say that most people, and I don't want to use the term outsiders, right?
Okay.
But most people who are just fans of the blues, and this can go for any music, but we're speaking for the blues, are not who really believe that the musicians and those that are the face of this tradition are rock stars in the sense of big money houses and stuff. But is it true that a large percentage of the tradition holders and tradition creators had full-time jobs?
Of course they did. I mean, in this, as blues goes in the history of this country, very, very, very few African Americans could make it on the pennies that they made playing this incredible music form of the blues. Very few. They had to find another way to eat and to take care of those that had families, to take care of their families. They had to find another way to do it. Mine is, I've always loved mechanics and building and working on cars and machinery. That was my hobby. I decided I'd make it my business. I was working for an engineering firm that I decided to resign from. I was like, wow, you know what? I live alone. My son lives with his mom, doesn't need a thing. I don't have any personal debt. I didn't feel secure working for the company I was with. They got rid of 401k. We were paying more money for less insurance. I didn't like the social arena that the job put me in with the coworkers. Okay, well, why am I going through this? I'm going to do what I love doing most. I'm going to make my hobby my business. A good friend of mine broke it down to me one day, Jock, to make money at playing your music, which you love, is going to take you away from your son. And I know you're not going to have that. You're a real good mechanic. You could probably do well with it, but you're going to have to give up on traveling with your music. Well, my son comes to me before anything. I love my child. That's my only child. But it was a no-brainer. I will focus on my mechanic business and play my music when time allows, as long as it doesn't take me too far from my child or too long. And he's a great kid, thank God. I've never had a problem with him. And that's how I earn my living and take care of my child who's getting ready to go to college, thank goodness, which is another expense.
God bless.
But my point is, and for me, at this point in life and our country, I should say, even with the turmoil and craziness that's going on now, I can still say I am very fortunate to be able to take a stand and do what I choose to do. But there were a lot of people that fought and died to get everyone, not just blacks, but whites, to this point. A lot of people that bled and died to get us to this point. But before then, you had to plow that mule. You had to drop the hogs. You had to shuck that corn and any other thing that it took to get the task done of the day. And then that could be, branding hogs and cows and livestock and whatnot. Mind you, back in the day, branding that cow and horse, that was considered as much more valuable property than you were.
Yes.
Meaning that you were considered as less of a man. See, here's the thing. A lot of people listening to the music, now don't get me wrong, the listener is the most valuable thing about music. And that's my opinion, of course. But, time will show you that it stands true. But now, a lot of people don't think of the lifestyle or the life on the other side of that music. And a lot of people don't recognize and acknowledge the fact that long before it was expressed through instruments, harmonicas and guitars and banjos and whatnot, long before it was expressed through any instrument, blues was the blues. Now, commercialization calls it the blues or gospel, in a sense, in their true form, and this is not an opinion, in their true form, there's zero difference between blues and gospel. Those are the commercialized names that they put on, but there's zero difference, because back before then, it was spiritual. It was spiritual. The same thing I might play at the juke joint down here, Gibbs Juke Joint in Bessemer, or the Red Wolf. Well, if I got to play a church the next day, believe me when I tell you, bending notes and all, zero difference. Your heart and soul is what makes the difference. It what makes the difference. If I want to sing about big booty women bouncing across stage, that takes my mind and soul somewhere else. But if I want to talk about how my heart flutters and jumps at the thought of the Creator, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's
yes, sir.
It was spiritual, and people always want to talk about, oh man, if you ain't playing the blues was an entity long before it ever became a music. It's called the spirituality of you, the core of your soul. It's going to the altar, giving it all to God. Shake off your chains and bound and give it all to the Creator. Let's thank Him. Let's show Him that we're worthy of our existence, regardless of what we're going through. We are here for a reason, for a purpose, to exist. We must show that. Blues enabled us to do that when your culture and everything about you was stripped away from you, and you were made to conform to a certain standard of living that was nothing about you. That's control of you. Fear is control of you. Well, there was a time that went by that people started getting an understanding of what it takes to be free, even if it's just in your mind and heart. See, even if it's just in your mind and heart. And blues, the traditional form of the traditional form of blues didn't just start in 1928, okay? Or whenever they say. It started long before then. But when you can take your heart and your mind to that place, as they say, the promised land, that place, and express yourself so openly and freely. Now, 1 hour later, you might be getting tied to the whipping pole, but for that moment, in your mind and heart that there is freedom, be it in death or living. There is a freedom.
That's right.
There is a freedom. You can only be beaten and killed in your mind and soul, but your body is just flesh. And we have to remember that so many are so willing, so many are so unwilling to sacrifice at the chance of a loss. You know, in these recent times here, you take a kid like Kaepernick that's standing for what he believes is a worthwhile cause for the righteousness and unjust, for the justice of others, not himself, making a sacrifice of losing everything, not just a job, but his life, to stand for that. See that I am an honorable veteran. Okay, listen at me very carefully. And I'm not trying to make it political. I'm just expressing where blues come from.
Absolutely.
With respect to those who believe differently. Everything that Kaepernick is doing is as American as the flag is itself. And if you want to put him down for what he is fighting for, then you are a hypocrite in the name of the flag. He is as American as anyone would hope to be. He is sacrificing his life and livelihood for the betterment of perfect strangers. I went to the military. My first concern was I needed to find a better way to earn a living and go to school. That's the honest truth about it. But I had to be willing to put my life on the line for my country. For my country in my life had never shown me that it gave a damn about me and people that looked like me. Mind you now, never gave a damn in the history of our country. And to be able to go to the service and make that living and sacrifice that for my country, to this day, it's the best thing I could have ever done. And even though we're going through turmoil now in this country, I will do it 10,000 times over. Now, my son is going to be going to school, probably Tuskegee, to become a veterinarian, one of the best schools in the country. But
Absolutely.
Now, if he decides, Dad, I think I would rather go to the military instead. Listen to me. I'm still with him. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm still with him. Because if you are unwilling to sacrifice for others, then you are a selfish, ungrateful individual. You're a selfish, ungrateful individual. Who cares about, watch this. Who cares about a flag? It's just an item. It's just a symbol. If I was going to raise hell about a flag, I would raise hell about the Alabama state flag that waves above the Capitol building in Montgomery, Alabama. It, in every flag in the Southeast, is a Confederate symbol flag.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's from the Confederacy. See, it's just a symbol. Unfortunately, the rebel flag, as they say, the Confederate flag, has meant nothing but negativity in our country's history. Nothing but negativity for the people that were on the other side of that flag. One of the 11th general orders in the United States Coast Guard, it says to salute all colors and standards, meaning flags, that are not encased, meaning in a trophy stand or in a museum. So you're telling me if you wave that rebel flag, which has done nothing but try to oppress and kill off my people, if you wave that rebel flag, I'm supposed to salute it? I will stand for the American flag and salute it because it is the colors of our country. It is the color of our country. I will never salute that Confederate flag. However, I will also kneel for the attention to injustice. You understand? All this makes up the blues.
Understand. Wow.
It's all
there's a lot of blues here.
The blues. Oh, absolutely. See, it is all about the blues. Slavery existed years and years ago, and it exists now. It exists now. No different than we have gone from a 1902 Ford to a 2017 Maserati. It's still a car.
That's right.
Slavery is still slavery. And even back in those times, slavery was not just black folk. There were some white folks that were slaves too now. Let's call it in this country.
Were they slaves or indentured servants? Because there's a difference there.
Well, listen, I tell you what. You go out there and sympathize with that buck tied to that tree that's been whipped for trying to run away, and see how quick you get. See how quick you get to be a slave.
Got you.
Nothing was hated more than a sympathizer. See, there's a lot of story that was never told. Now, I'm not some historian. I'm just an oily mechanic. But life has shown me a book that few take time to read. Few. I grew up around blues. I grew up in the life of blues, not because I'm black, but because it was my life. It was a culture I lived in. I also live in the culture of mechanics. Most of the people I know play music and work on cars, build cars. That's a culture all in itself. I grew up in the culture of blues. Next door to a fellow they called Guitar Red, Armin Postel. He was buddies with John Lee Hooker and Sonny Boy Williamson. They used to hobo down through Birmingham and walk over the hill to where we lived in a double tenant house or duplex next door to the Postel. Okay? And they sit on that back porch and strum on them guitars. Then they go out to the shot houses and juke joints and make that traveling money. They might stay in town 2-3 days. They might stay in town 2-3 weeks and then get back out on the road. That's what I lived next door to. I grew up in the same community as William King, who is still active in the Commodores right now. His mama or grandmother who adopted him was my kindergarten teacher and babysitter. I grew up in the music. The guys from the Temptations used to hang out in my community there. You understand?
I hear you.
It's the music. The legendary bassist Cleve Eaton recorded with everybody from Ramsey Lewis, Count Basie, Lena Horne, Frank Sinatra, all the big timers. I grew up in that community. That was my life. I'm still very much a part. My family's very much a part of that community today, called Rosedale, Alabama.
Wow.
Okay. Back then, it's one of the oldest African American communities in the state of Alabama. A lot of people would gather there from all over when they were traveling through. They could get something to eat, get freshened up and cleaned up, go to laundromats. They could do a whole lot of things there. And felt safe and secure over in that area. And before they went on about their journey. But I grew up in the culture. It's not a matter of what I think. I don't have the liberty of expressing my opinion when it comes to the blues. I don't have that luxury. I have to speak on what life says is fact. Most people, they go out and they read some book that says, with all due respect to others, they read this book and how great of a blues guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan was. Now, I was a fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course. I was a fan of Eric Clapton. But I'm going to tell you, like a guy told me one time, Chick Orlando Davidson. It was the COD Blues Band out of Providence, Rhode Island. And I was trying to figure out how to play the harmonica. This was back in the late 80s. I was stationed in Boston, Massachusetts, in the Coast Guard and used to travel down there. But anyway, he said, well, what you listening to trying to play? And I was listening to some Eric Clapton. I was listening to some Phoebe Snow, some Stevie Ray, and he even had me some Robert Cray. He said, well, you got a bunch of bullshit here. Hell, I don't see no Lil Walter. I don't see no Muddy. I don't see no Howler. I don't see none of that. You got a bunch of bullshit here. You want to listen to the blues, you got to go to the blues. These right here, some hand-me-down shit. And that's how the guy told me. You understand? That's how he told me. I mean, boy, sometimes the truth cuts to the bone, but that's, at least you can start from the bone and build back out. Is the truth. That's right. And we all have to adhere to the truth, whether we like it or not. Sometimes I don't like to hear the truth, but I'd rather hear that than a lie. And the lie is that anybody can be taught or teach the blues. You cannot learn to play the blues. You can learn a blues song. You can learn it lick for lick, note for note. You can learn everything you want to learn about Big Bill Bruesney. But please, please, get it out your mind that you can learn the blues. You cannot.
Absolutely.
Johnny Shines told me to my face while sitting in his hospital room just a few days before he died, bless his heart. and we were getting ready for his annual birthday bash. He had recently had his leg amputated in that hospital. He told me, if it ain't in you, ain't nothing that can come out you. And flattering him. So he told me, son, you young, but that blues in you. That blues is in you. That's what Johnny Shines told me. He said, if I can just get you to stop thinking and just play, it'll come out you. You know?
I hear that.
That's the thing about trying to learn something. You're too busy thinking and trying to figure out. But if you can just open your heart, your soul, and your mind, and just feel you, and give all of that you feel, just throw it out there, throw it out there. Let people decide if they want to shake and dance to it or not, but don't be trying to make them dance. These guys were having a commentary about these guys playing these songs 4, 5, 6 minutes. I played gigs, man, where me and Willie King and Birmingham George Connor played a gig. The first set we played for 45 minutes. The next set we played for an hour and a half. The next set we were into like the second and 2.5 hours before the owner said, "Man, you got them in a trance. Y'all got to stop. They're gonna tear my place apart. They're gonna tear." You understand? People want to put limitations on things. They want to put titles on things when it comes to the blues. Black folks didn't name the blues the blues. I'm sorry, but they did not. People have called. They've come up with the blues. They've come up with other folk, not of the music, has come up with the title gospel. They went from soul to R&B to pop and all these different titles. Why don't you let people just... How can I tell you about your house?
Absolutely.
I can tell you about your house to you. If I just
I'm with you.
And be respectful and let you tell me about your house, I might learn something. I just might learn something. It might teach me how to get my house in order. Don't tell me who I am. You just be who you are. And let me finish playing this thing.
So let me ask you a question based on what you just said, because this is a touchy topic that we all have to address, seem to address, whether we try to refrain from it or not. The fact that a blues enthusiast or quote unquote blues historian who is usually non-black, non-melanated, and this is not a divisive or disrespectful statement, it's just a fact. The fact that they get to or think they should have the right to establish what is blues and what isn't. Where does that come from, one? And two, why are black blues folk, blues people, whether musicians or just of the culture, always ridiculed or looked at in a demonizing way when we have a disdain for someone telling us who and what our music is?
Well, it goes back to, in my understanding and travels in life, it goes back to you calling me less than human. You don't know me well enough to say that, and you've not respected me as a living, breathing entity enough to allow me to show you who I am and what I'm capable of doing. Okay, let's skip a whole bunch of years up to when Little Richard and them boys were jamming back in the back alley, shaking that rock and roll. They were shaking it. See,
yes, sir.
It was evil music. It was sinful music. It was going to turn our social, hypocritical society on its head. It was garbage, as everything about your culture has been called evil and sinful and less than good moral standards and wholesome. Well, Little Richard and them were shaking some stuff up. Watch this now. And I don't mean nobody no disrespect, but this is how it is. Then here comes this little pole raggedy buster they call Elvis. Peeping through the door. Peeping through the door. You know, come wandering across the track and peeping through the door. He started loving it. He started loving it and picking it up. Watch this now. And he picked some things up, but boy, you better not take your ass in them black folk play. And the black folk show better not go to them white folk play playing that garbage. They weren't gonna let that happen. However, these record folks decided, man, people eating this stuff up and there's a whole lot of money to be made. Now we can't take them black folks to the white establishment talking about doing nothing. But we got a bridge that we can cross. We can let this shaking leg little white boy who looks like them take that music and take it to Mr. Charlie Land, and we gonna make some money. See, they can't take you in their house, but they can go in your house and bring you out their house and put it in their house. But you got to stay back there. Meaning that old Pat Boone thing. Right. I ain't never seen such a person destroy music like Pat Boone, but the society loved him. With respect, because you have to understand, I was never at, this sounds harsh, but I'm going to say it anyway. My mother was not a very good mother. Okay, let's get that straight. She was not. But I was never in my community taught to recognize people by color. I grew up I grew up in a school that was less than 1% black the entire existence of my time at school. I got nothing against anyone, and I got a problem with a person that has something against anybody because of the color of their skin. I got a problem with that. But let's just talk about our society. But now, when you start talking about how Pat Boone was on the cover of all these albums singing black folk songs, Pat Boone was marketable to that establishment, that society back then. I can't put you on the cover of nothing and talk about marketing you. Man, are you crazy? I wish little Johnny and Becky Sue would come in the house with you on the front of an album talking about they're going to play that music and shake their hair to it. No, sir. But you understand how the hypocrisy goes. But now with that comes arrogance as well. Because if you let Pat Boone and those people that like what Pat Boone looked like tell it, oh, he was throwing down. It wasn't worth putting in cement and throwing to the bottom of the ocean, that garbage he was putting down. And that's my firm belief. I don't want to hear Pat Boone. Hell, that's like asking me to take a pecan from a walnut tree. I don't want no damn walnuts. I want a pecan. I got to go to the room. I don't want to go to McDonald's and get a hamburger. I got to have one of grandmama and them hamburgers. You understand? That's right. Yes, sir. Yeah, they're going to clog some arteries, but I'm going to enjoy and be full. But my point is, arrogance and hypocrisy will tell people that it will tell people that they know more about your culture than you. And I had to tell a fellow that one day on Facebook. When I was expressing the fact that the blues comes from the innermost core of your soul, and his reply to that was basically to say that was bullshit. And so my expression to him was, the bullshit is thinking that you know my culture better than I do. That was the end of that whole conversation, of course. That was the end of that whole conversation. So I don't want to hear what you done read somewhere. Because here's my thing about what you done read. Watch this now, be careful.
All right.
If fact has shown that the Bible that we worship from has been manipulated and corrupted and coerced, do you think people won't coerce and manipulate the story of you?
Absolutely.
Really? So I don't want to hear what you done read. Tell me what them chitlins smell like down at Dutch place in Panola, Alabama on Sunday night.
Right now.
Tell me about that.
Just grab my house on Sunday.
Boy, you better say it. Tell me that. All right? I can listen to that. And I'm with you on that. But do not ever tell me that you know something about me. How? Were you with me? Watch this. Were you with me when I was 3 years old, 4 years old, with that cloth diaper, cleaning it in the toilet from my little sister's diaper? Were you there with me when in elementary school, first grade at Rosedale High School, we had to get down on the floor in the late 60s because people were shooting into the building? I hate to say it, but white folks that didn't want us to succeed and be there. Do you understand? Were you with me when construction was bringing the expressway through my community and they were finding kids like me dead in the ditch? Were you with me? How you gonna tell me about me?
That's right.
When the same blues that John Lee and Luke, Sonny Boy Williams was singing about next door to my house is the same blues that I see when Mr. Jack had a dispute with his daughter and took a shotgun and blew her leg off. Do you understand what I'm saying? Were you with me when I was sick as a damn dog and had to ride on the back of the bus and treated like a damn dog? Were you with me? You know, when I was called a nigger, a spook, a spear chunker? Were you with me? When I was kicked out of school for defending myself against that behavior? Or were you with me when my white buddy was beat worse than me, just simply because he was with me? I'm talking about my white buddy that if it wasn't for his mama and them sometime, I didn't get nothing to eat that day in elementary school. Were you with me? Don't tell me about me and you ain't been with me.
That's real.
I can't hear it. When you're talking about the blues, man, you're talking about a very sacred thing. There's this group down here that's coordinating and sponsoring the Alabama Blues Hall of Fame. They taking any and everybody they can pull up on the Rolodex and giving them inducting them into the Blues Hall of Fame. They brought my name up several times for the last few years about inducting me in the Hall of Fame. I told them point blank, if you hand me some bullshit like that, I'm going to throw it across the stage at you. Please don't put me in that. And you're making such a mockery of this entity. The blues is the gap bridger. You understand? It's the healing source of countless of people. See, it's not a devil worshiping evil music.
No.
Blues is the history, not just of us as a people, but the history of the country that we call the United States of America. That same flag that we wave, and Colin Kaepernick is trying to uphold the principles that built it. That same flag, if you look real hard, you will see some of our blood on it as well.
Well, a lot of our blood.
If you look at it real hard, you would see the blue in it that we stared up at the sky knowing that there's a creator that existed. If you look real hard, you will see the whites of our fucking eyes that was still on the prize, regardless of how we were treated.
That's right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? No,
yes, sir. I'm right here with you. you know, a generation after, people, but live it.
You understand what I'm saying? People want to call you what they want to call you. They want to title you and your culture what they want to title it. And here again, this is not limited to black folk. Now, people keep thinking everybody want to say blues is all about blackness. Well, now here's the thing. What I've been shown in life. Don't talk to me about Stevie Ray and Eric Clapton. They're some good boys, and they play some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. They were part of a bridge to help try to keep this thing called the blues alive. But you take cats like Stevie Ray and Eric Clapton, they tried to tell other folk that idolize them that, no, you're worshiping the wrong person. I didn't create this. I'm simply borrowing this and trying to keep it going. John Cougar Mellencamp, Paul Simon, all these cats, and the guys from the Allman Brothers, all of them have spoke on the fact that y'all keep trying to give us all these worships and titles and things. This ain't our music. We just borrowed it. We just borrowed it. But what I'm saying is that, sure, it was brought attention to by the people that could feel it the strongest in the history of this country, could feel it the strongest. Me saying, watch this, and a lot of people disagree with me. And, you know, I've never tried to win any popularity votes. But if I say that, for instance, a white man cannot play blues and don't have the blues, ain't never had the blues, that's like me saying a white man ain't got no soul. My friend, I can't do that. I can't do that. What about all the white folks that have died and suffered trying to help people to understand our grievance in this country? How can I possibly...
That's really interesting. I have to ask you a question because that's really interesting on several counts. So my question to you would be based on that specific statement. Are there degrees of blues, right? Because some feel blues is specific to a specific group of people, but it is a human experience, right?
Watch this.
So is there different levels?
Why is it not? I pissed off a lot of Bible thumpers in my life. In my life. And I don't mean nobody no disrespect, but I do intend to get the truth out there. People want to claim that there are different degrees of blues. I'm going to say this real easy. Okay. There's only one degree of the blues. And you try to put different degrees on it, well, then you ain't freeing your soul to express itself. You're only channeling your soul to this direction and that direction. You're trying to be cute about expressing your soul. Watch this. Now, take that and match it up with all these different versions of the Bible. Take that and match it up with all these different denominations, churches. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Take that and put it with all that. Until people realize that what should be the sermon in church, non-denominational church, and what is the original and true blues are one in the same. They are one in the same. There are no degrees. When you try to make different degrees, then what you've done, you've taken away from the root. You've taken it from what it is. You try to change and coerce it from what it is. You can't go to altar call in a Southern Baptist church and say, I'm just going to tell y'all, I'm up here because I want y'all to pray for me. Okay, baby, you ain't telling nothing. You up there with your bouffant hairdo or pompadour hairdo, something called it, and you trying to be all cute. Why don't you go and sit back down and make room for all these other folks trying to get up here and show enough, tell the story, see, because they crying and they hurting and they, you trying to be cute. You don't even want to mess up your lipstick. And you put your lipstick on to come to altar call. Have mercy. Bless your heart, honey. Go on back to the house. See, folks always come up, you got to go to church to get spiritual guidance. You got to go to church to get spiritual guidance. Church is where you have it, not where you go. See, watch this now. Back in the day, it might have been down there in the holler. Down in the bottom is where we had a chance to congregate. You understand? It might have been down there in the bottom. Back in the day, of course, Miser was so arrogant, he know he had fear of hell in the slaves. They wasn't going to run off. He didn't have to worry about it. He was going to get them a good night's sleep. Meanwhile, the slaves got together down in the bottom, and a lot of them praying the old African chants.
Right.
You understand?
Yes,
the healings. and that was before it got on a banjo or a violin or harmonica. Harmonica's been around since about 1100 BC. All right.
Yes, sir.
The first so-called prototype of a harmonica was made from bamboo in
Yes,
China,
sir.
if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
You can
Drop
you
that
can check me
history.
on that. You can check me on that. But now, my point is, it was an entity long before it ever became a music. We needed it. We needed it when we got here. We couldn't be us, but we could in our minds and hearts. Let God know that we know he was still there. Regardless of what we're going through, I know that there's a creator. I've been through hell in my life, my friend. I've been through absolute hell in my life. But I've never refused the existence of the creator. And not one time did I ever not want to breathe. I've been faced with pistols in my face. I was that fool. And it's a true story. Whew. I was that fool who went to a gunfight with a pocket knife.
Oh.
and I hate to tell you, but I did win.
Don't hate to say that. That's Samson. That's a blessing right there.
I was that fool that went to a gunfight with the knife. We had been playing basketball at the community center, teenagers, and we were crossing the highway going back into the heart of the community. And these white folk pulled up to a traffic light, and all of a sudden we niggas and motherfuckers and son of a bitch, you black bastards and all of that. And guy pulled a pistol out, and the other guys got afraid and ran to the other side, all the way to the other side of the highway. I pulled the knife out of my back pocket, a buck knife, and ran up on the car. And I looked the guy square in the face, motherfucker, what you want to do? He pulled the pistol closer to my head, said, nigga, you got to be crazy. What the fuck you want to do?
Wow.
And they spared off.
Wow.
I will not be a fool, but I will not allow you to tell me that I can't exist.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's simply because of the color of my skin. Now, geographically and evolution-wise, we can't help what color we are.
Right.
But one damn thing for sure, you ride down the highway on a motorcycle and fall without proper leather and see what color we all are then.
That's right.
Tell me what color we are then. We all have hearts and we all have hearts and soul. We all have the capacity to love and care for our fellow man. We all have the potential to be forgave. We all have it. That's why, unlike some of my brethren, and I don't mean them in a disrespect, that's why, unlike some of my brethren, I cannot say a white man can't play blues. I can't say that. I can't say that because that would also, this is my opinion from my living, that would also denounce the existence of the creator to say a white man ain't got no soul.
Absolutely. Sir, we're coming to the close of today's broadcast. I have to get you back on here for part 2 because you what you speak is beyond truth. I want to thank you. It's an honor, and I'm really sorry to have to cut it, but we're about to go off air. But everything you
my pleasure, and the honor is all mine. You send me your address and a good date, and I will make the journey to come and sit with you live, even if it's just to eat toast and drink a cup of coffee. Nothing I would love to do more. Absolutely, sir. And for the record, appreciate you. I was enlightened of your show by John Tavius Willis, telling me about an interview you did with Tony Bryant. Incredible. Oh. Blown away. So, thank you so much. Mr. Bryant is no joke. Thank you. And thank John Tavius Quan Willis. No joke. No. No joke. Okay. I got some folk waiting on me to fix their writing more, so my brother, much love to you and your listeners. Here again, I don't mean to offend anyone, but I do not ever intend to shy around the truth.
Absolutely, and that's what we're here for. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
So I talk to you soon. All right, good folks. That was a great second half of the show speaking to Mr. Jock Webb, who just laid down the truth, just the truth, period, right? As Larry Griffith say, butt-naked truth, that's what the blues is. And he just laid it down, and we appreciate him. We appreciate Mr. Tony Bryant, and we definitely appreciate Brother John Tavius Willis, who has introduced me to a lot of people to interview. We got to get him back on the show. We're going to see you tomorrow. Don't forget, the archive will be up shortly. Donate to our crowdfund, donate to our organization. Not only let's keep this alive because it's not dead, let's keep this dialogue going so we can all heal. I will talk to you on the air tomorrow.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to